Hallelujah. Giving, hallelujah. Giving the highest praise. Hallelujah. Giving the highest praise. Hallelujah. Giving the highest praise. In the morning when I wake up, in the night when I wake up, I will lift up my voice to heaven and give you the highest praise. Hallelujah to my King. Hallelujah to my Father. Hallelujah to my Jesus. I bow before the throne. When I look at all the wonder and I see all the creation, the beauty of the universe, you never change. You never lie. You never change. You never fail. Hallelujah to my Jesus. Hallelujah. 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 Hey, hey. Hallelujah. Hey. Giving, hallelujah. Hey. Giving the highest praise. Hallelujah. Giving the highest praise. Hallelujah. Giving the highest praise.
Hey, come let's pray, Jehovah. Come let's worship Jehovah. It deserves the praise. Come let's praise Him. It deserves everything. Oh, the worshiping. Oh, He gave me life. I will praise His name. I'm here to praise my God, oh, because He gave me life. Come celebrate, come jubilate, come to worship Him. He deserves the praise. Hallelujah, giving the higher praise. Hallelujah, giving the higher praise.
Hallelujah. Giving, hallelujah. Giving the highest praise. Hallelujah. Giving the highest praise. Yeah. Hallelujah. Giving the highest praise. Ooh, hallelujah. Oh, yeah. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah to my Jesus. Hey, hallelujah. Sing praises to Jehovah. Lift up your hands and worship. Lift up your voice and pray. Hallelujah. I lift up my life for Jesus. I will worship you, Yahweh, Yahweh. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah to Jesus.
Oh, good evening, good morning to whatever you are. Hallelujah, giving the higher praise. This is by two Liberian artists, Joseph Bass and K Praise, teaming up in the best in the gospel industry. I am Afonso Zain, so right here this evening. Beautiful Thursday evening here from the New England Bureau of the Liberia Public Radio, Lpr-Tv. As usual, we are here to take community news, information, and entertainment. The marathon for the higher political office in the land is on the rise. This time, it's all battlings within the collaborative party. 4 months, long-time serving government officials, Jose Nyuma Boakai, and a business corporate turned politician, Alexander Benedict Cummings, is on the rise. Who is ahead and who is trailing? Showcasing their political talents, going on a scrutiny. We're going to get the ball rolling right here very shortly. My team of analysts and contributors, they're going to be right here. And of course, there is no way you will be left behind. Welcome to this evening talking point. The higher office of the Land Republic of Liberia is in the news. Well, it seems the strategists and politicians and those that are close to these guys that are contesting are doing everything possible to get their message out. And now, for the ruling CDC establishment, they seem to be in a little comfortable zone because, as far as we are concerned, so far, there seems to be no challenger within the coalition. But they will have their own little bit catch up. But meanwhile, the opposition for collaborative party is doing everything possible to voice the candidates out of the sleeping dogs waking up to articulate their message with the hope that it will resonate with Liberians' electorate. Experience, long-term service, man, and a business guy, turned politicians, Alexander Cummings, they are all fighting, doing everything possible they can to get the attentions of the Liberian people. So, the conversation has been going. It seems that I've realized the two sides, they have come to realize that it's important that they showcase or present their leaders out there. I was told by a close associate or top insider of the Unity Party, quote and saying, "We have given Cummings a long way. We will not allow him to have his way going all out there." So they are doing everything possible to bring in the Fairmont VP. Started with the chip chat, now T-Max, what next? Alexander Cummings on the other side giving major addresses across the country, thus leaving their supporters hairburning, making the argument that their leaders is the best. We will find out. In the meanwhile, the CDC is doing their own diligence. We are hearing in the coming week, the president of the Republic of Liberia will be on his, I believe, on the 5th tour, this time to battleground in the backyard of Jose Nyuma Boakai. What my analysts, contributors, they are standing by. Liberty Party base, talk show, based here in the U.S., no affiliation, according to him, with the Liberty Party in Liberia. How can we draw that sort of demarcation? Very difficult to determine. The liberal progressive, Samson Blocku Brown Toll is standing by. From Atlanta, Georgia, Amos George is also here. And hope, in the words of Samson Toll, the CDC professor, I'm just kidding, Professor Asese Laboza will hope to be joining here. And a strong supporter of the ruling party based in Australia will be coming here. Who is this all factoring in, and who going to be a potential beneficiary at the end of this? Interestingly, after this, what are going to be a VPS? What are going to be a primary? Will the collaborative parties survive after the primary? Liberians politicians are not noted for forgiveness. It only happened in the West because they're still going to be keeping eyes, and supporter will be saying, this guy will betray you. He will not be one of us. Let's get the conversation going here, folks. The evening is always fast slip away. And this is how you all started.
And inaugurated in 2024. That is, of course, once you've won the nomination of the CPP, you would be inheriting a badly broken economy, a country whose image abroad is in tatters, low investor confidence, perhaps at the all-time low. How would you work to salvage this myriad of problems that you will be inheriting were you elected by the Liberian people to lead them?
Henry, you have to understand.
That's how it all started from political commentator and seems to be leading in the columns of Jose Nyuma Boakai, is feeding the bait, spoon feeding, babysitting, and came back to say it was chicha. But then the aggressive guy from Sastan, from the neighborhood, from the homeland of George Weah, T-Max, came in with some heavy punches. We're going to come to that. But let me just bring in my guys, Amos George and the Liberal Progressive. The Liberal, Akwaba, welcome. You look like a Nigerian guy this evening, man. Where are you getting all of these things from? Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Soul.
Yeah, I love that suit, my man.
Yeah, that's something I've been having for the last 10 years. And I thought I'd go back to my
I think it should be a gift. I think it should be a giveaway now. 10 years, come on. And you had a 9 years old. I don't know whether you're still 9, but 9 plus 10, how many years now? Don't you think you need to give that away?
Who am I giving it to?
You got younger brothers, you got brothers that you could possibly love.
I learn from one man, one pa.
It could be.
I learn from one man, one pa.
There you go. When it comes to giving away, then the family connection is all cut off. Okay, gentlemen, welcome. Amos George, welcome.
Good evening, sir.
Okay, so the political marathon is on. All of the sleeping dogs, they are all waking up. Their supporters are all yamming and yelling and screaming, making the argument they get the end of the day, getting ahead of their shadow. We saw that Checha with Heron Costa, and then came in T-Max. Let's see here. This battle here, how do you think you're going to end up? Do we have these political parties? Do they have the zeal that at the end of the day, the reactions from their supporters, was somebody will be reconciliate, like we saw in the case of Barack Obama and Hillary rather than Clinton, and Clinton potentially became by one of the powerful person, the Secretary of State, despite of other names calling. I don't think our politicians have the guts, the ability, the passions, the forgiving light to make such accommodations.
Let me say this, let me be very honest with you. We make some of these judgment based on how the people comport themselves, how they speak. And from what I saw yesterday from Joseph Boakai, VP Boakai, I was very discouraged about his way. I don't think he would be willing to be considered based on what he's saying. With Mr. Cummings, I follow Mr. Cummings. His tone is not as compared to what Mr. Boakai speaks. He sounds a little bit conservative, Mr. Cummings, but Boakai, from that interview yesterday, I'm very discouraged about VP Boakai.
Okay, let me hold you there. Very discouraged. You're taking a definitive position here, and I hope at the end of the day of this conversation, some tangible justifications are going to be made. I see the Liberal is shrinking his hair because he's part of the collaboration. Liberal, other folks outside of the beltway of the ANC, the ANC as an offspring to the CDC. So that sort of rejection from supporters and other people is gradually building in. And I was a little bit surprised recently. I was listening to Mr. Costa in a very indirect tone. Was making an argument. And it's not all about money. And we all know politicians, elections is all about money. Is ANC here being seen as offspring to CDC? Do you agree with this section by Amos George?
Well,
no, I said
thank you.
Offspring of
No. You say you feel discouraged. Let me make that clear that you feel discouraged and that he doesn't sound somebody who is conciliatory. The Progressive.
Thank you, Mr. So. Good evening, and good evening, Mr. George. And once again, thank you guys for sharing the space here and the stage with us. We appreciate it. Now, as far as the VP is concerned, I think when we were out here the last time, I stated something here that the VP does not seem to be the person that will be welcoming of Liberians in his time. I think the VP, the former VP, I think he does not come across as unifier. The former VP, she understand, and not only is he
you are forming a coalition here with Amos George, which is very, very strange to me. Let's not bring in our man George.
from it.
He's an analyst, Liberia Public Radio. Let me just bring him in as well. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Far from it. I am not in any kinds of coalition with Mr. George. Mr. George is a center right, so I'm not. I'm a liberal, so we're far apart. However, when it comes to being truthful, yes, whatever the truth is, you have to be truthful. The vice president, former vice president, should understand that besides being the older person in the room, he also have more experience than many of the people that are vying for this position. So I would think, and you would think, that the former vice president will, when he gets across in having these type of conversation, it's good to campaign for the position, but there must be a specific time when you are invited and on any of the platform. You have to speak as someone who is there for everybody, every Liberian. Whether you're campaigning against somebody, you can make the statement, look, sir, campaign tease, when the time comes, I will run my campaign. But from now, I want my people to know that we're here to unify the country. That's the kinds of statement you make. When these people invite you, most of the media practitioners, they're not there to say, dog bite man. That's, as you always say, that doesn't work. But you will say man bite dog, that's something that they gravitate towards. So when they bring you onto the platform, they want to get the juiciest thing out of you. You as a politician, you as an older person, you as an experienced politician should be able to hold yourself so that you don't utter words that would not be deemed as being not in the light of unifying people. When you make statement, like statement the vice president will make, it's not time for campaign yet. The campaign season, you take it back into the collaboration political party when the time comes to run campaign. But when they invite you to these platforms, my opinion, when they invite you to these platforms, you are there to toe the line, not as an individual political leader, but to toe the line as a collaborating political party, and your collaborating political party intent is to unseat the current president. However, you also, while you're trying to unseat the current president, you must come across as unifier, as father of the nation. But the vice president, in many of the interview that I have seen, he has not met that challenge.
Folks, we are getting on the way. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners far and near and across the globe. This is the Liberia Public Radio. Okay, the talking point is starting. They have started reconstructing, doing their own forensic political analysis. We've been joined this early morning from Australia, contributor to the Liberia Public Radio, Mr. George Widow. Widow, let me just bring you in here. I'm not sure whether you got a friend on this network here. You've been listening to Joseph Boakai from the column of the opposition. You listen to the chit-chat as it was described beautifully by Costa. That was in an interview. I have a different way of looking at it. He appeared yesterday on the T-Max show. Are you guys dancing within the CDC war?
Look, thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be back here. And look, I got a very different version and a very different way of looking at what the former vice president has said. And I think he did not achieve what one as a statesperson we want to achieve. I think what he did was throwing jobs, and I don't think it's time for jobs.
At home, who was he training at?
Look, he muddied the water even for the CPP, as well as to job at the current president or the current administration. And I think for now, like what my colleague there has said, Mr. Toh, colleague, It's time to unite. And I think one of the lines of the opposition and those who support the vice president or the former vice president continue to portray him as someone who can, the only person who can unite this country. And I think what he did on that show with T-Max Jarate, I think it was counterproductive. It wasn't in the interest of unity. It was completed all over the place. I think that's my my observation. And one of the things I want us to look at also is that one of the things that people often talk about vice presidents is that they have no power. They can do nothing. And I think that's false. And I think the former vice president proved that when he said he went abroad and lobbied and brought a lot of vehicles for the Liberian National Police without the consent. And I must say that without the consent of the president.
Of the president.
Yeah.
Do you think his politicians are not normally authentic? They are not genuine. They all will play it into that sort of narrative to gain the attentions of the people. But he's taking, it appears right now, he's taking certain credits within the Helen Johnson Sirleaf government, which he himself was part of, even though some other ridiculous words came in, the squander, the misuse the opportunity. I'm not sure what he also has taken responsibility of whatever happens within the Helen Johnson Sirleaf government. Let's welcome our man from inside Lofa Zozo. Following Lofa is a battleground state. That's the fight. We'll learn in the coming week. The president will be heading to Lofa. Pa George. Okay, I think Emma George just went off. We want to bring him here. The Liberal Progressive.
Yes.
You listen to Wida. It said the sort of a politically correct statement because he's on the other side of the aisle. But is that statement in line with what you said?
Mr. Wida, as far as I'm concerned, he has a fish to fry here. And so he will do what he can to pour gasoline onto the fire. But we will be able to, no, I'm just kidding. Mr. Wida is speaking his mind. And I think he's coming across this afternoon as someone who wants to be truthful. And whatever the truth lies, that's what we go with. And I appreciate that, even though he's a sedition. But I'm not going to discredit or discount his comment when it comes to our political party, collaboration political party. Look, Mr. So, the VP stated that he would support whoever the winner would be. However, he what I don't see and what I really don't like in this whole thing.
Let me not to interrupt you. Know on LPR we don't do roller skating here. He was support, but in his first chat, I'm not sure whether it commensurate with what we are saying here now that he will support. On the other side, Ellis Benedict Cummings is also making an argument. He should be. Well, maybe without he can take the number 2 position. I'm hoping to hear that. And I really want to talk to these gentlemen. Does that commensurate with what we are talking here? That he would.
Look, Mr. So one of the things that if you notice, one of the things that I enjoy about this former VP is that he still have it within him. When he was on Costa's show, knowing who Costa was and knowing Costa's relationship to this current sitting president, his tone and his topic were very different than it was on T-Max. I thought that was very interesting because you are more
simple as it is. He was being babysitted by Costa and they were feeling and he was just there.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he's not a young person. He should be able to control himself. But the point that I'm making is he was more combative when he was on Costa's show. And many of the viewers loved that because they wanted that. And I think the vice president is, you might think he's old, but not far from him. This man, this vice president, he has the ability to equip himself and to be involved with the social media as quickly as possible. Because when he was on Costa's show, he was able to follow the trend of what was happening on Costa's show. But when he got on T-Max, he decided to say, okay, this is the time for me to talk about the political issue in my political party. The only thing that I don't like on the T-Max show is when you say I will support whoever, but that should not come from you. You know, unless we do, don't bring me Donald Trump. If I don't win, then the election is not fair. Don't bring it in here. You're much more respectable in Liberia by many young people like myself. I'm a young man, by the way. Many young people like myself respect you, and so we want you to be successful. But don't bring Donald Trump. If I don't win the election, that means they cheated. Don't bring that in here. You guys have a framework. If the framework is being violated, I'm sure the collaborating political party have some sort of a structure that will allow people to air their view. You can't come to Team Mike show and try to set criteria of what you think gonna happen. I think that was a little bit out of the bag of the former vice president. He's our father. He's gonna be the next president, and so I just want him to know that.
Widow?
Yeah. From the vice president himself, he's clearly stated that he's not a good friend of stress. And I just want the liberal progressives to, maybe lower the rhetoric a little bit, because our former vice president does not go well, when it comes to stress. As you heard him, he said because of the election stress, he had to, put more vigor into his heart to get a battery, that we call the pacemaker. So it's something that we just need to take it easy with him and move forward. But what I want to say is that the vice president, and I think most people in the CPP had thought that putting this collaboration together was to make the former vice president, Joseph Boakai, the center bearer. And that's, I think, that's what also play on him. So he has been quiet, laying low, know that, oh, this is going to work for me. It's just because of me, everything was put together. So he wasn't even talking. Why, on the contrary, we saw Mr. Cummings, roaming in the entire country, from Lofa all the way to Maryland and everywhere he's been putting in the shift, But now that he's realized that people are gravitating towards Mr. Cummings,
Yeah, I know it will sound a little bit ridiculous. Cummings roaming all over the city. We saw the president moving all over. Institutions are more, or the CDC-led government will see themselves more comfortable or a winnable team if they contest against Alexander Cummings?
No, not actually. Look, as a sedition and as part of this government, I think our main objective is to have a viable society. And once we can, what we boast of now is the elections that we had, free and fair. Everyone went there and got what it could get, what was deserving of them. So I think it's one of the things that is part of our, arsenal now, that we can prove to the wild world that, look, this is what we've done since we've been here. We are not comfortable with any candidate. We are not complacent. But what we do know is that we don't want to see a Joseph Boakai even contesting against us, because the matter is that it's like a mockery, it's like a mockery at our Liberian society. This guy was there for 12 years. He according to him, he did what he wanted to do.
He was there for 12 years. Is that an arguable case that the ruling establishment going to be taken to the polls? Let me just hold you there. Let me just bring in why you giving it a thought process. Yeah. Let me just bring in Pa George. Pa George, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So the fight now is ongoing. Political fight is non-physical fight, but of course they're going to be nasty. They're going to be tough out there. They're going to be shooter to robbing. So the question now becomes, at the end of the day, whether they have the capacity to settle the dust. Is Joseph Newman Boakai making a genuine case to the electors, to the Liberian people? Do you think?
No. Now let me say this. Honorable Boakai yesterday interview revealed his real color to the Liberian people, because he's not being honest. First, let me go to the opening speech. He referred to Mr. Alexander Cummings as stranger. Someone, he played a race, the travel card. Someone who cannot speak the language, who cannot speak to the people. Those are his words. Honorable Boakai, why you think you are more Liberian than any other person? Can you go to Maryland and speak Gisi where the people don't understand you? Can you go to Nima and speak Gisi where the people don't understand you? No. So that's the first thing I said when I heard that opening speech. I knew straight. I said, this old man is a divider. You can go after Cummings record. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you start playing that tribal thing, which is very dangerous for the country, and that's why Boakai did yesterday. And that's why I say you are divided, he's not a uniter. Now, he said yesterday that he did advise Ellen Johnson's leave on every decision. He traveled throughout the country to settle dispute, according to him. But at the same time, he said he was parked in the garage. The old race car was parked there. Mm. That is a complete contradiction of what he's saying. If he did advise the president, there was 63 Booker's contract concession under that government, based on his advice, his own words, that today Liberia are still suffering from. How can he say he was not part of that government?
Hold on there. Hold on there. You're dicking our stuff here.
That's his words.
Yeah.
That's his words.
The liberal.
No, yes. Hold on there. Let me just near the nail of the coffin. Mm-hmm. He talk about extrajudicial killing. What happened to Harry Greaves? Harrison, it was under their watch. Let me hold it there. Go to the liberal. I will fire back.
The liberal. It seems that, hold on one second. We are getting in the days of Obi Wleta, then it looked like from what I'm hearing from Pa George, and those were the same words of the former vice president. Is he strangulating himself politically that these words going to be used against him? I want to see a real debate taking place within the CPP itself. It process and it comes down to the CDC. Is the vice president here? Is he strangulating himself politically with some of these words that he have deployed? Because, and I'm saying this to say, and Pastor George is speaking to some sense of direction here. One of the things that hurt Hillary Clinton during the end of the election, for which she lost that election, when she spoke at the fundraiser, these people are, when she described Trump supporters, a basket of deplorable. That shocked the walls of the Democratic Party because there were some other folks still sitting on the edge, still deciding which way to go. Can we bring in experience? Which, of course, Joseph Boakai is enthusiastic and someone who doesn't know anything about government. And that was what Trump was bringing to bring sort of reform. But when that word was used by Hillary Clinton, it turned off these supporters, and Trump went out with give you a different descriptive, analysis of why those people want to be, what they're going to get on unto Hillary Clinton presidency. Is that comparable to what we're hearing now from the VP, that people are going to use those same very words against him?
Well, Mr. So, this is very sad. It's very sad. And I see the fingerprint of Keseli, former EULA president, fingerprint all over this thing here. You know, those of us that have been around for a while now, been watching these Liberian political organization here, and they call themselves humanitarian organization. They are a political organization where they practice their dangerous craft of divide and conquer here in the United States. And on Keseli during EULA situation, and this is where I think I knew Maria Satan, there was a big split in that. Keseli and the other group were
I want a superior court to testify on that right here in my own state.
Yes,
after
that
election,
they were pushing the line that the Congo people have been in charge of EULA for long. It's time for native people, that kinds of line. And it was very divisive. And this is the same type of stuff when I hear my father, who's going to be the next president of the Republic of Liberia.
I'm saying that's a little bit just disingenuous here. You can't be.
Mr. So I have the right. I have the right as a liberal. Like I said, I'm here as a counterbander to all the undercover sedition, except you, except Mr. Wheeler, who has claimed to be the real sedition here. Mr. George is a center right, as I said, and you far right. I am the counterbander. So please let me express myself and speak my mind. Don't try to censure me. Like I say, look, Honorable Boakai, Dr. Boakai, the real Dr. Boakai, will be the president of the Republic of Liberia. There's no question asked. However, I see the divisive message the vice president is bringing up. It's not conducive to the Liberian political landscape. You can't do that. Many of the sedition young people are from Lofa County. You're going to be facing your own son. You're going to be facing your own relatives in CDC. You can't come in here and say people come here, they don't speak the same language. That is very divisive. That should be underneath Dr. Boakai. He shouldn't make those kinds of statements. If he wants the position, if he wants to be the standard bearer of CPP, which he will, I think he should just enjoy himself. Because if the CPP wants state power, they will make Dr. Boakai frontman and make Cummings second to Dr. Boakai. If they're smart. But if CPP just want to fool around and not serious about taking state
Why
power,
are you not calling your own
government?
Mr.
So I said,
are you not calling a candidate from your own
corrupt CDC, if you don't mind me, finish. Corrupt CDC government, then they're gonna have to align themselves behind the old man and let the old man take his seat because he's the only person that will bring us back. All of the Cassidy nonsense trying to tell the old man to be divisive, it's not going to work. We will reject it and we'll still make the old man our president of the Republic of Liberia.
I'm coming there, Pa George. I think you're being a little bit judgmental here to say Cassidy is the one that is tutoring or putting these words in the mouth of Joseph Boakai. And it sounds a little bit disingenuous. You part of the collaboration, which is your party, Liberty Party. And I'm not even hearing you mentioning any single name. You try to be in two places at the same time. The vice president is not this, the vice president is that, but he's going to be the next president of the Republic of Liberia. That's sort of a little bit weird and over the top. Pa George.
Let me say to the liberal, I'm surprised. You just saying that the vice president is divisive. And at the same time, say that's the man you want to support to be president of Liberia. When this man is divisive,
I am not part of that word. He's speaking his mind.
Let me go one more step further. The vice president was very condescending on people from the U.S. He said those who are in the cabinet left from the state went there to get money to pay their mortgage. So he couldn't say anything like they were cabinet minister, like they were just doing their own stuff. That is one of the words of the vice president. Talking to people that left from there, went to Liberia, said most of them went there to pay their mortgage. Mr. Vice President, where were you and your family? Where were your children? Were they in Liberia? Were they in the United States? These are the things I'm talking about. This old man. This old man is very divisive and got that attitude of country Congo. Stay in him. And all his life, he had lived around the very Congo people. Everything that man acquired was through the connection of Congo people. Going to the Ministry of Agriculture, Lpr-Tv, LPMC, all was linked to the Congo people. The very people that he tried to despise, that they did not do anything. He had no connection with them. This is the old man I'm talking about. He's very divisive. And this is the problem I'm having with the people who support him. Because if the old man of that age, who's supposed to be considered as the father of the country, he's letting this world out there, then that tells you something deeper about him. He now has to answer to the Liberian people. Under the 12-year stewardship, what did he do? He accused people coming from America to take fabulous salary. But how much did he offer receive? $2.7 million. Did he complain about that? When asked why he could not leave the system, if at all, his advice was not taken. He said no, he told the why to stay to make the difference. What is the difference that the vice president made during the 12 years of Ellen Johnson service that ended up with corruption and other issue in the country.
So, Mr. Wider,
Yes.
I think Amos George and Samson, the liberal progressive here, is giving you a nice dinner, a supper here for the CDC to go away. And his thing is funny. He deliberate. He thinks it's funny. And because when you support someone, look, in politics, it's a different thing. When you are a baby, when you're wearing diapers or pimples, don't engage in politics because your leaders were screwed up and your job there is to come to reconstruct. That's what we see doing here. But these guys have served you a real good dinner this evening.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, I got a less job to do tonight or this morning. I just want to just watch the fight, and what Mr. George is right, and I think the Liberal is also right, because here's the thing: we all know that the only place the former vice president actually won was Lofa. And that tells you that he's only popular there, And this is the guy who is saying that he's the only man that can beat the current president. President Weah was a senator when he beat you as a vice president. Then being a president now, an incumbent, and you think you are the only one that can beat him, only because you are depending on Lofa to vote it in. I think it's counterproductive. I think he's dividing, even as he's not yet the president, he's trying to divide the nation. What more can he do when he becomes president, And I heard he also throw jab at even those who work for him. And even if you look on Facebook now, most of the former ministers, they are pushing back at him because of what he told them. He said they were only interested in their life after the government. So he was trying to tell that these guys were stealing money to prepare themselves for after the government. That's why he was trying in effect. And those are the things that if you get leaders making statements like that, you find out that there will be a lot of chaos. Even if he becomes the president, there will be a lot of chaos in the country.
All right, welcome our man JJ Saka from that Australia as well. Thank you for joining here, JJ, and the rest of the folks. So this is where I saw the sort of a little bit pass on the part of T-Max. And that's why most of these people, they do not want to come in the lion's den because there will be a tough follow-up questions. Because when he said that, if our team, in fact, I tried calling on that show, but I couldn't blame team back because, the line was heavily engaged. The line was being bombarded. I want to ask him, is the Helen Johnson Sirleaf government corrupt? And it want to be interesting to see what he was going to say. Yes, but I'm not part of that corruption, but you are part of the system. But we saw what happened in Tanzania to John Magufuli and Somaya Suluhu Hassan, who was then the vice president. And as much as he was the vice president to the late Magufuli, but there was a big difference when it came to the COVID. She was in support of people wearing masks. And Magufuli on the other side, I said no. But we have this sort of political syndromes and their political correctness statement by politicians and other Liberians who dive into it because they are so much dearly in love with their political leaders. Oh, the president in this place here, and they can't say nothing, they can't do nothing, and they get away. But sometimes you have to speak. So at this point in time here, all what is happening here, will the vice president, I want a team now to have asked that question. And I'm talking to the folks closer to the vice president. Welcome, Madam Agnes Molba, Samuka Molba, welcome as well. I'm interested to ask this question here to Joseph Boakai. The path of the president now of Tanzania, Sumaya Hassan, right? She is now carrying on an extensive audit of the very government that she works in. So I said, why T-Max, why somebody cannot ask if you are alluding your president's son to that because of the son's behavior, no car is no more existing. What was your word in that? So I want to know if I have the opportunity, let me just throw it out there that because they have special places they can go. Will he allow himself? Because the vice president of Tanzania, she's asking the port to audit. You see how it is? I'm wondering whether he will call for similar thing. Because it's not just a George. Let's start it because the whole boss here is spilled out from the Helen Johnson Sally. We audit, and then we come to the CDC. We the folks, we audit them as well. And I don't know why the word audit sounds so terrible to people. It's just to verify, to make sure the assets, the liability, what I'm going to work with. George Weah came in on the other side, say, okay, everything about Helen Johnson Sally is super, super good. So we're going to see what happens. So the Liberal, are you texting to Nyombli Kanga Lawrence or what?
No, I'm timing you. You're supposed to be the host, but you're more than undercover sedition here tonight. And I'm timing you because you told the CDC line so much that you spent as a host who's supposed to be asking questions. You're taking more line with Mr. Weah and Mr. Weah. I mean, this is
it's a generic. The question is generic and it's proportional to everybody.
No, Mr. So, you're supposed to be playing even hand. You're supposed to be playing even hand. But anyhow, that's besides the point.
I don't know why.
I can defend myself. And I can take on all three of you because, like I always say, as a liberal, I am here as a counterweight.
Why are you?
So let me address you first, then I can go to
yourself as an offense child.
So please,
you're not an offense child. Why you always like to take yourself as an offense child, my dear brother?
Mr. So don't worry about it. Like I said, I can defend myself and I can handle myself.
Go ahead.
Let me address you a little bit as a sedition. Let me address you a little bit. You made a statement here that Ambassador Weah was a senator when he defeated Dr. Boakai. Yes, I agree. But that chicken or that dog is not going to hunt anymore. We have discovered who Dr. Weah is, his true color, his leadership ability, his failure, his corrupt behavior have taken over. And Liberians are quite aware of it. When Dr. Weah won the presidency, he didn't have the mansions. When Dr. Weah won the presidency, there was no $25 million map out. When Dr. Weah won the presidency, there was no $16 missing. So you see, the economic situation in Liberia today is not as good as it used to be. So Liberia and all sophisticated Liberia can see what is happening. So Dr. Boakai stand a chance to defeat your president. Now, Mr. George, let me disabuse you a little bit. There's no coffee here for you to put a nail in. Nobody. Dr. Boakai is alive. In fact, he told the people that he doesn't even have a surgery on his heart. So he doesn't have no pacemaker. He's a young man. Now, folks,
what are you saying?
Tell you this. Mr. So, please, let me just tell all of you here, including the audience. Dr. Boakai, I don't like the kinds of media round how he's doing and things that are coming out of him. I don't like it. And that because I know Dr. Boakai, he's not somebody that will turn around and try to hate people. He's being political. And I think my point, those statements seem to be divisive. I'm not saying that he's a divisive person. I said his statement seemed to be divisive. Now, can he pivot? Of course he can pivot. Can he change? Of course he can. After the situation in the collaborating political party have been resolved, and Dr. Boakai is now the standard bearer, we will face the CDC with their corrupt behavior. We will face the CDC with their inept behavior. We will face the CDC that are unable. They are young people, but they are unable to help the young people of the Republic of Liberia. We will bring that to the Liberian people, and the Liberian people will see it our way and elect Honorable Dr. Joseph Boakai as the next president of the Republic of Liberia.
So let me ask you, Mr. Toll, you think Dr. Boakai can question George Weah on corruption and behavior? Is it Dr. Boakai the right person?
Let the Liberian people decide.
I asked you on a panel you were discussing. You said you're defending the man. And I just asking you a simple question. You think that
he's noted?
Well, yes. Dr. Boakai does not have millions of dollars of real estate in Liberia. Dr. Boakai did not overnight rebuild the Concord Town or the house in Concord Town or 9th Street. He didn't rebuild. Dr. Boakai did not have a $25 million map out. Dr. Boakai did not have no $16 billion missing. Mr. George, he was parked in a garage. Now is the time. If Liberians want to know what Dr. Boakai is capable of doing, get him out of the garage, put him in the street, and let him show himself.
Now let me tell you, you cannot rebrand the Selly government, which vice president said as vice president for 12 years. It's not how you rebrand them to package them to sell them to the Liberian people. Dr. Boakai will have to account for the administration of that 12 years. What happened there, good and bad, he will have to take full responsibility and explain to the Liberian people. What you sitting out there doing, you can talk all you what you talking. But you will have to answer this question. What he putting out there, you will have to answer. You will not be there with him. Dr. Boakai, who's saying that? When you were asked about the election, whether the election was free and fair, he said no, everybody know what happened. That's history. But if that history, then why you counting good that you did on Ellen Johnson Sirleaf? If that history, if the election is history, why you counting what good that you did on Ellen Johnson Sirleaf? That's all, man. We have to account to the Liberian people. So you can sit there and talk all your liberal, talking about that the Boakai is the next president. He will have to answer those questions.
Look,
before I come to Widow, I feel bad for the old man from Tota. It's unfortunate. He's wrongfully placed. If you were the one to be articulating the political party views, that party will be dead. It will die premature death. That's exactly he's illustrating here this evening here. This is if you support it, and this is lacking within the both CDC and even the opposition's column. Their inability to pick up the real issues of their political leaders and divide it and give it a good taste to the general public. They lack the will. They're quick to be driven. You saw Samson Tor here running all over the place from Tortown to Monrovia. Monrovia, no plane to get him to Rabafi. He decided to go back to Tortown, pass through by the way of Cote d'Ivoire to Ghana to get on flight. That was not help you. You need to find a real good talking point, Mr. Tor. Let me go to Widow, and you will still have your day. Widow.
Thank you, Mr. So. Look, I was going through the interview with the vice president, and I'm so thankful to Mr. To, who brought out about the corrupt practices in government and in the current government. I just want to make this point. The former vice president was fired twice in his career.
No.
And he went on to say he was fired because political differences. I mean, he was not part of the party that was ruling, so that's why he got fired. If this happened twice to him, I think he's not being truthful to us. Because if it happened once, we understand, yes, but twice, I think this vice president is corrupt.
You see dishonesty in that? Why you don't want to believe him?
I don't want to believe him because he continued to, misinform the public on most of the things that that happened in the government. He said he was very effective on Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. He broke up peace. He for land disputes and bought this property, to the Liberian government. Did all sort of things. However, if you question him again, what did he really do? He'd be like, I was parked. He gave you that excuse. That means he's not sincere. He's being very dishonest. Because if you are fired twice, if it happened once, we say, okay, maybe we can let that slide. But twice in your political career. And look, I think President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf did not fire him because, as we all know, he slept in most of the meetings. So if that was the case, they just kept him as soon as you have somebody sitting in a chair. But we are told by most of the ministers that former Vice President Boakai slept throughout the meetings that they had.
So okay, I'll have the Liberal to respond here. But overall, gentlemen, on a good note here, the action by Unity Party to more or less showcase Dr. Boakai or Joseph Boakai, Ambassador Boakai here. Is that a good political strategy? Which, of course, is good to get the person out here. We're seeing ANC. They all will shield Alexander Cummings as well. Want to be so much careful. And in the process, you can't be too much careful. You just need to have consultations with your advisors, be a policy advisor. They need to have different things. But this is why, let me just bring this to you here. This is an interesting thing yesterday, and I will have the liberal to speak to that. It was, I could not just give it the sort of processing, the kind of way to process. When the vice president strike 3 major things: agriculture, rural, tourism, sanitation, / security. Where is the health aspect? We have people now. If you are not a government official, you gradually die by yourself, because we have a government also that is not strategic. They don't know how to do their investment. We told the widow and some of the other folks, hey, building a hospital is good, but you need to upgrade. You need to set the pace of the current facility that you have. Then you can upgrade to the modern one. That did not happen. So we didn't even see that. I didn't hear anything about education yesterday from Dr. Boakai. I didn't hear anything about health. Now he's taking the roadmap as the Israelis and the Palestinians. With that of George, we are roll. So there is a correlation here. People will gradually tie in with that, because when you're talking about roll, and you said you have been participating in the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government, which you served as the number 2 person, why didn't the role wasn't prioritized? Because this is the question people always ask. It didn't happen now, so why now? So why is he leaving health out when people are dying on the daily basis? This should be their talking point that they will select, and people that are talking for them, like you guys and other people, the Gilmons and all of these people. Why you guys are not asking your political leaders for us to know their bandwagon, for us to know their grip, the things that are in those grips, so that we know exactly why it is? Is health not important, Samson Tor?
Nope.
So why it was left out? It was a deliberate?
No, Dr. Boakai have time. You don't gonna come and give her all your laundry list and a one interview. That's not how it's done. But let me make something clear very quickly. I am not here as a spokesperson for anybody. I'm only speaking my mind. I am not here as a spokesperson for Liberty Party. Of course, I'm a member of Liberty Party USA, but I'm not here as a spokesperson for Liberty Party. I'm not here as a spokesperson for CPP. In fact, they don't know me. I'm just speaking my mind as a Liberian. Now, having said that, as a liberal, and many of you, especially the Liberian in the diaspora, you're continuing to send money over there to brothers and sisters, mothers, fathers, relatives. Why? Because this government is unable to help your brothers and sisters, your mother, your father, your cousins, and all your relatives. And as a result, you have to supplement whatever the government is unable to provide. Why? Is this a government you want? Dr. Boakai, my opinion, will come in. And first of all, when he comes in, all of that stuff coming in, you got no place, you use a swallow fufu, and as soon as you become minister, then he said, no, that I'm not even eating fufu again. I'm going to get food from Ghana. Nothing like that. Dr. Boakai gonna come in with a people who have Liberia at heart. You're not gonna get people who have themselves at heart. Let me eat for when my stomach full, then I will think about my brothers and sisters. This is not how Dr. Boakai and his people gonna operate. I'm just giving it to you as it is. Now, these people can sit, I said these people, they can sit down on the platform, wonderful platform, all dress up, and they can say Dr. Boakai is corrupt. Don't believe any of it. If Dr. Boakai was corrupt, why is it? Where's the competent jurisdiction that have found him corrupt? None. These people here, if they far right, they sedition, they undercover sedition, they're going to sit here and give you some sort of impression that Dr. Boakai is corrupt and he's been fired. Which one of us that have never been fired from a job? Many of us has been fired from a job, not because we corrupt, but because there's a political, there's some differences, what differences? You can't, people say they can't hire you anymore. Okay, you have the ability to perform. You go somewhere else. And this is, why is it that Dr. Boakai keep coming back? And now, I'm just asking this, And Mr. Josh here will come back to tell you because Liberians are corrupt. So they go somebody, they fire somebody, then they're ready to go and beg, then they bring them back. Don't believe that either. My point to you, my brothers and sisters, what I'm trying to do here, I'm not here as a spokesperson for any person, for anybody. But if you want Liberia to move forward, if you want Liberia to move the way you want it to be, this government is not the government that will take us there. They haven't done it, and they're not going to do it. They are there for themselves, and they will do everything possible for themselves. They came here, few of them came here to the United States to have a conversation. They came here, then say, I did this, we did this, we did that. No. And they're going back to Liberia and watch the kind of story they're going to tell you in Liberia. These are the people you want them to be, you'll continue to be for another 6 years. God forbid Dr. Boakai and the CPP are the only savior in town through Jesus Christ. I say so.
Hold on there. Now let me tell you something, Lebro. That the Boakai own words. We have more opportunities, but we'll squander some of them. If you were put in charge to run any institution and mismanage most of the fund of that institution, you leave and you say, oh, I will come back to manage the institution already when you have mismanaged all those funds. How can he make that argument to the Liberian people to be elected? It's just not there. Now, the issue about dismissal. But Boakai said something very interestingly. And I look at it, I said, he's not being honest. He said, I think Jeremiah, in him, that the man asked him for the party headquarters, and he said he did not know the party headquarters. You are a cabinet minister and don't know the party, the government, you said you don't know the party headquarters. He said, based on that, that was those dismissed. Really, when a dismissal letter alleges or investment of $2.7 million, that was the letter they gave him as a dismissal letter. But today he's saying it was because he did not know the party headquarters. That is not honest. Honestly, he's not being forthcoming. Then he went to Sawyer. He said he was hired. He was appointed to go to organize Lpr-Tv. He said he went there, he did a job, but some political reason, Sawyer decided to move him. This old man is not telling the truth. What he's seen there is not the truth, and Dr. Sawyer is still living, though gone, so he can say anything about those. But those are not reasons. Because you don't know the party headquarters, that's why the person was dismissed you for. That is not it. That is not being honest to yourself and to the Liberian people. That's number two. This whole idea that some of you people are not taking Joseph Boakai as a savior. What happened? In that same interview, he said they had a committee that selected the priority of the government. But coming from war, what was the priority of the government? You talk about roads, schools, infrastructure, and all those things. The hard road, the light, the water system. 12 years, that system was still down. So then I asked, I want to know from Boakai, what was the priority that they were taking in Liberia as he alleged with all the money that was coming in? Why these things were not 12 years, we could not get a fitting electricity in Monrovia. A pipeline water we could not get within 12 years. They had all that money, $257 million that came. And when I dumped it in that hydro project, why they couldn't build a new brand hydro with $257 million? These were private, money came out, it was misplaced, mismanaged, and everything that Joseph Boakai is going to sell that to the Liberian people. Then I tell the Liberian people, if you go buy this, then I don't think you want Liberia to move forward. Because Honorable Boakai yesterday revealed exactly the alleged corrupt attitude of that government, that he served and he was fully participant of that by his own admission. But today want to distance himself from it. And to point finger at George Weah, no, Honorable Boakai, you are not the one. You cannot question George Weah for corruption. No car went bankrupt under you people. Right on you people. Look at what did you do about it? Extrajudicial killing in Liberia. What did the government do about it? So he's not the one. And sedition cannot even boast of anything because look at the health minister. Mr. So you remember that Madagascar waste abroad?
Right.
The president went to the AFE and said this thing was a gift from Madagascar. Today, the Liberian people are paying $71,000. What a waste. And not being honest again on the part of CDC. When the president went there to say this was a gift, this thing would say it was not no scientific connection, nothing proven. But the president went there to live the boxing with the minister, to live the boxing, they said it was a gift. Today, they tell the Liberian people, you got to fulfill that bill. This is the same dishonesty that continues in Liberia. And this is why sometimes we're saying accountability, the war and economic crime must come. Because you cannot continue to treat people like this. The vice president said he get loan from the bank. Yes, Mr. Vice President, your title alone can give you loan. But what was my yada was saying now? What can she get loan?
Can you ask the Liberal for me whether the Liberal is living on loan here? Because that was something most likely.
Yeah, he said everybody.
The Liberal, are you living on loan here?
So I don't know. Maybe we are living on loan.
Okay, let Widow come in, so we'll kind of like to put the Liberal in the pressure cooker here this evening because he's sounding more like the Trump Republicans folks here. But let me go to Widow in the meantime. Widow.
Yeah, cool. Thank you, Mr.
I will be
George.
putting the number of your time to get the Liberian people, or what we are doing here, and like what the Liberal said, without he established his political identity, and nothing wrong with that as a supporter of the government, which is fine. That's the uniqueness of this platform here. That we incorporate, we bring everybody, so we know the reasons why they are supporting, why their political decision is within. We incorporate everybody here. So you want to be an ANC analyst, you want to be an ALP analyst, and we have said that all over the place. Just let us know. We'll bring you here. Just have a thick skin like us and disregard the sort of soundbite that are going to be going here on the field. So we don't go ahead.
Oh, thank you, and I appreciate Pat George for the analysis. However, here's what I want to say: if I were the boss of former Vice President Boakai, I would fire him. Here's why: he spent 12 years as a vice president, and the only campaign strategy he would come up with, the talking point was rules, omitting healthcare, omitting education, and all the rest. Okay, let's fast forward 6 years later, sitting at home doing nothing and living alone. He has come up with another acronym, which is ACT.
Yeah.
And again, he forgot about education again. So how effective can this guy be? After 12 years, he only had rules in his mind, forgetting about everything else. And now he's come back. Education is out of the place again. I think the vice president needs to be retired honorably and given some retirement, to live on.
Not to interrupt you, the Liberal was making the argument on behalf of the vice president that he can just empty all his laundry list out there. But I will tell him for sure, perhaps he's just unaware or he just blind himself. I'm not sure if one of those that propped the vice president in this interview. When you're going for an interview, see that as a prime time.
Yes.
You might see it as a prime time, especially when you screwed up big time in the first interview where you sat down there. You were not even looking presidential. That sort of zeal was not in you. And you just went into an interview and they came back to say it was a church for getting to know. It will be heavily watched worldwide. People are going to see you. And that first impressions count. And the Liberal didn't understand that. He said he left some pieces out. So he went in to have another interview. Then we'll talk about the health. And then we'll talk about the education. That is so ridiculous.
At all. And that's the thing. And look, and when he talk about extrajudicial killings, look, we all know what happened during his regime. People who were being taken in as state witnesses were killed on beaches. And up to this date, there's nothing that we can actually point to.
So then, let us care your own baby here. So if I were you, I would not even go in that area because it's
Let
wrong.
me deal with Wida, please.
Right. No,
Let me deal with Wida on that point.
hold on. You put all of us here in the category here, but this is for sure. As a presider here, I'm here to make sure analysts as well should be held accountable. They must be put into check. We also will be responsible for things that we put out there if those things are not correct. So I'm not like you who gonna be like just put here and put your hand in a basket and pick up something very selective. That's exactly what you did. You sounded like a Trump publican here. You live in a liberal state, but you're hanging out with the most radical.
Mr. So,
Hold on, you were
Mr.
talking. I never interrupt. You're gonna have your day. All right, you hang out with Kevin Matukati. In your last statement before Pa George here, you sounded just like Donald Trump. The people out they want to take your country. If you don't fight for it, you will not have a place to be. Yeah, those are war tone. And then you come back to say Joseph Boakai is divisive. Come on, Samson Toe from Toe Town. Are you serious?
Mr. So, I'm still here. Just like Mr. George would say, I'm still here. Don't do that. Don't do that to me. Look, Mr. So, let's be serious here a little bit. Look, Mr. Wida coming out to talk about death in LA government is like I'm not gonna go that way. But anyway, Mr. Wida, let me just remind you a little bit. We still have the auditor that was killed in sequence based on the position. If you're auditor and you hold big position and you're auditing the government official on your list, you're gone. So we're not gonna go that way. So let's forget about people being killed in a government. Your CDC government they have no standing. They have no standing on that line. Look, Mr. So, I have not said that Mr. Dr. Boakai is a divisive person. I said the statement seemed to be. So I'm not gonna clarify that anymore. That's the last one. You can turn it whatever you want to turn it. So we know that.
Who utters
Mr. So, please, if you don't mind.
You said the statement. Who authors the statement, and what was
because you as a far right conservative who having to be.
What I mean? That's not a statement. You were quoting Ambassador Boakai. It's saying, so who is the author of that statement?
Mr. So, I'm not here to justify anything. What I'm saying to you is this.
So you are acting like a Donald Trump. Don't believe that. Pa George, you saying these radio people,
Mr. So,
they say
you don't interrupt the other two panelists because why? Mr. George is a center right, and Mr. Wida is a CDC, and you a far right and undercover sedition. So you align yourself with those two individuals, and you're not going to interrupt them. But me, on the other hand, as a liberal progressive, you're not going to give me time to express myself. But let me just say this. Look, Liberian society need to understand. You cannot, and I bet no one will, in their right mind, will try to compare Dr. Boakai to that of Dr. Wida in terms of leadership. There's no comparison. There's no comparison. Let me just remind you. There's another audio from Esther Walker. It's in the news. It's coming up. She's saying that the reason why they didn't win Bon County because of their inept CDC inept behavior, threatening Bon County people, Bon County officials if they don't vote. So she said they're threatening them. How can you lead when you're threatening people because they did not exercise their civil duty according to you? Who are you? You are just there to take care of the government. You're not there to impose your will. But that's what CDC is giving us. And this is why we continue to tell the Liberian people to say this government, this present government cannot take you anywhere. the collaborating political party, honor Dr. Boakai, you will have a leadership that is accountable. You will have a leadership that is transparent. You will have a leadership that is free of corruption. I say so.
Okay, well, folks, you want to make I want to open the line. You can make 1 minute per George.
Yes.
We'll also allow our audience to participate in this conversation. Yeah, George, Widow, go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate the talking points and people. When I first made this comment about people on government's protection were killed, I don't think it's the same as what is happening. What happened in this government? Auditors are people who do audits, and as far as we are concerned, no audit indicted any of the officials as we speak that is worthy of going to court. And I think that alone explains that people make mistakes.
But Mr. Wheeler, why were you saying anybody to court? Why were you saying anybody to court when the first other person is dead? You scared, so you can't send people to court.
No, that's not it. When the auditor is dead, the audit still remains. Where is the audit report that brought about the death? That's what we need to find out. Where is the audit that indicted someone that is the subject of someone being killed? There's no audit to that effect. And there are many auditors. My question is high up in the audit regime as well. So I understand what audit is. That not just one person does audit, not just two persons. And when an audit report is made, it goes throughout the entire system. It's visible to everyone. So how we kill one person and expect an audit report to go away? No, it doesn't happen that way. And that's what people don't know. And we need to educate our people that if an audit report is made, not just one person that makes the audit report. And if I audit, the audit is extended to everyone in the organization. Everyone has access to it. So if you even kill me, everybody else, you have to kill the entire department or the entire agency to get rid of that report. So it does not happen that way. But here is the case of the Salid government that Mr. Boakai is associated with. These people were audited, were found culpable of crime, and they were going to court. And they say, okay, you are the government witness, so we will protect you. But the person is still killed before the case goes to court. That alone points to extrajudicial killings. And I think they should take responsibility. I think the vice president should take responsibility of this and start mocking around and talking about auditors being killed. When the auditors are killed, the report still remains. It does not die because the auditors that did the audit, they did not just take the report with them in their graves. The audits remain in the system, and those audits should be made visible so that to prove the point.
Okay, Pa George, that analysis, does it hold a depth of water?
No. Mr. Wheeler, let me tell you something.
Okay, fire in the hole.
On any government, when there's mysterious death of its citizens, and there's no accountability, that government is culpable, which is George Weah. There are a whole lot of deaths called mysterious death in Liberia, ritualistic killing. Now one person has been brought to book. Honor George Weah. That government is responsible because the responsibility of the government is to protect every citizen under that jurisdiction. And if that government fails, that means they will be accountable for not protecting the citizens. So there's no path that you can get to your CDC government.
No, but hold
on. Let him done with his statement, and then we'll come.
Okay.
If you want police shooting, police alleged killing, ritualistic killing, but people alleged being raped in Liberia, no accountability under the George Weah government. You can go and look at the American Embassy website, it's there. So those are issues that the George Weah government you people will have to account for. Just how we've seen that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and Joseph Boakai will have to account for those mysterious deaths, that just like the CDC government will be liable to account for those mysterious deaths under their watch. Now, on the issue of Boakai, Honorable Boakai, since the election, the only county he had gone to is Lofa County. The only county, Lofa. He had never traveled to any other county besides Lofa. Hold on. Alexander Cummings, when the hospital from Lofa County, the current Memorial Hospital, were about to close, Alexander Cummings went there and paid the worker in Joseph Boakai home in his county. He went there to help the people to build a mosque. So, Omen Boakai, tell me, since the election, where have you gone to talk to the people in the southeastern region? Have you been there? No. But you want to tie this to say that the Congress cannot be given to 7 people. And that's why computers say, Omen Boakai is very divisive. The labor can say, well, he said he doesn't mean it, but he was.
Okay. All right, folks, we're going to be going to our viewers and listener follower for their input as well. This is the Liberia Public Radio, and this is LPR Special. This is Lpr-Tv with Afonso Z and Soul, live from the New England Bureau of the Liberia Public Radio. In today's discussion, we will highlight high-call issues from the motherland, Republic of Liberia, and issues affecting our community. Asking tough questions is vital to me to have my listeners and viewers informed with the sole purpose of demanding answers that are authentic and meant to be head-scratching situation. Oh yes, to add pageantry to the conversation, senior analysts and contributors of the Liberia Public Radio are here to dissect the conversation. From Baltimore, senior analyst Professor Asese Labozalo, CEO, Real Academy and Gideon's Polytechnic Academy in Liberia. Senior contributor Amos George is in Atlanta, Georgia, a critical thinker and critic of the GOL, and opposition Lpr-Tv foreign affairs analyst Leo Johnson's executive director, Empowerment Square, based in Canada, and president, Liberian Community in Canada. And on the radar is Lpr-Tv, liberal progressive, and host conversations with Sam Saint Blackpool Bronto in Studio B in Saxton, Sacramento, California, is also on the radar. And of course, the doyen, former state broadcaster at ELBC and ELWA, and former presidential aspirant, Republic of Liberia, James Gamian, is based in the Garden City of New Jersey, is here. I am your host and anchor, Afonso Zienso, of the New England Bureau Desk of the Liberia Public Radio. Come, let's join the talking point, fair balance. Let's have it right there. We're going to upgrade that promo to bring you here, so it shouldn't make your.
I have a question for you, Mr. So. What? I have a question for you, Mr. So. Why was it that you didn't put me out front in the front of it? Why you made me the last person? What's the reason?
Does that have to do with your party winning election in Liberia?
No, this is something. You guys are biased against the liberal view and the liberal idea.
I think you're out of an arguable point here to make your day. So you're looking every little pit to see whether there's a rat there and if it can be taken out. Unfortunately, I just can't help you this evening. That's not your first time saying this here. They say the race is not to the swift, but he who endures to the end. In this case, you have endurance to the end. So you are part of the process. If you have anything you want to, let me just tell you the protest fee for it. And if you are willing to cash out me $100 right now, and we can take it. Maybe Widow can be the presiding judge over that
case. We don't be the presiding judge in my case, then I'm done.
Okay, I'm not sure, Pa George, you're still not coming, so let me just get you over here. Okay, so folks, we want to thank you so much. This is all about Liberia. And again, Mr. Toll just put it into context. Even the widow, the Amos George, people that are providing analysis on this outlet, they are not the direct representations of these political institutions, not the government, but their own within a reason why they support these different institutions and to echo the message of those institutions. So whatever they are saying, you can hold them for aid. That's their own assertion, just how you and whatever they say, that can make it right. So let me just go to the caller here quick. He's our own contributor here as well. Mr. Benson, go ahead. Hold on one second. Let me connect. I had a wrong stuff here. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. So. Thank you very much for the opportunity to partake in this nice conversation. I'm sorry for Josh has left.
George, no, he's here. Just
Oh,
thought
he has
you were
returned.
fireback.
You see, Mr. So I'll start with you. When you spoke of the president, the vice president not articulating the hospitals and education, it's starting, but it was because the question asked had nothing to do with what would be your target. The question was, why would you reactivate with Bloom the economy? And that's when he said road, agriculture, and he went on to name those things that will bloom the economy. So it had nothing to do with his target, and he was not overlooking and downplaying the hospitals and education. Because the hospital and education will fully subsidize those, especially the hospital, will take more money from the government than it will be. So it's an expenditure arm of the economy for the government. Now, it's starting when I hear Pat George articulating that Joseph Boakai what his word was. He said that Joseph Boakai is divisive. It's starting to hear you say Joseph Boakai is divisive under the tune because of what he said. His tune never indicated that he was divisive. His tune only said that, look, people, you can't give it to these kind of people. Looking at the kind of people who got it now, he said, don't give it to these people. What is that divisiveness about? You talk about language. Liberia do not, all Nigerians do not have a common language to speak. Even our English we speak. When you go to our accent, we differ from one person to another. People differ in their accent based on their ethnic group, their ethnicity. And you know that. So the old man were not being divisive. Notwithstanding, yes, he has to take responsibility of the Ellen's government and the mismanagement in the Ellen government. But you can't attribute. Joseph Boakai was given over $2 million for his office. Yet and still, without over $2 million, we don't see Joseph Boakai having a very big house. He never broke his house down and rebuilt it. Now you call them, then you want to team up with Wheeler, who said now over there calling Joseph Boakai corrupt because he was fired 2-3 times in the government. Look, if this man was corrupt, he would have been living in owning mansions across Liberia for his 40-year tenure. This man is not corrupt. This man is a man that you need to look at first. Listen, people, I'm not pushing the Joseph Boakai or presidency arena. I'm only stating facts. Look at all the people who you saying today they're not corrupt. Look at Samuel Tue. He got money. He got many mansions. Look at Jefferson Koji, who just walked into office and buy a $150,000 house. You're not calling him corrupt. You're sitting down there and you pointing to Joseph Boakai as corrupt after 40 years of labor. Be serious, widow. You guys got to stop being hypocritical to us, the Liberian people. Stop. Call a spade a spade. Not because you support the party, mean you must stand up with the ills when they do it. Recognize the ill. Talk to them against the ill.
Do you support the president?
Them for the ill.
Listen, do you support the presidency of Joseph Boakai?
Right now, I'm on the fence. Joseph Boakai and Cummings, I'm on the fence.
You're on the fence?
I am listening to both of them. Yes.
So let's slash A here to arithmetically or to whatever way you are. You can't keep sitting on the fence. You can't be in two places at the same time. When will we see you taking a definitive position?
Oh, I will take my definitive position before the CPP goes to convention. I will take my definitive position. I've listened to Cummings the last time as he articulated his point. I listened to him keenly. And even in his point, Cummings kept saying that I am going to a contest. I'm not going to say I want to be second in line. Joseph Boakai is saying the same thing. He doesn't want to be second in line. The problem is we have to grow out of the sentiment that, look, I must look at what these two guys got to offer, compare it, then make my decision on who to follow. I must look at it. Cummings is coming from the corporate world. Somebody went up the other day and they talked about Cummings have a lot of connection, international connection.
Okay.
And I went under the post and I told them, I said, we heard the same thing about George Weah.
Okay, my man, thank you so much. Let me go back to my guys to do it. Thank you so much, Mr. Mason. Okay, all right, guys. The line is open. Let me see here. There's a number, I believe, coming in here from my own city here. Let me go to this caller here. Caller, good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Forger. I call from Rhode Island. How are you today?
Good. Welcome. My neighbor and In my home state here, we can form a union here. There's men from California. There's not my bodies. Okay, so go ahead. What's your own takeaway from this evening conversation?
All right, thank you so much. I just tuned in, but I heard Mr. George lamenting on the fact that Brainy Mr. Boakai as divisive, and then Mr. Weeder on the other hand sitting and telling the public the word that Mr. Boakai is corrupt. Well, let me just come and disprove these guys. You see, until we learn to remove sentiments, emotions, personal hate, we will not be able to see the real picture of a person's character. That is why these two gentlemen, I don't, Mr. George and Wither, the two George or the judges. Now, Mr. Boakai was emphatic. He was clear on his position. First of all, let me just tackle the issue of corruption.
Just make it succinct, pull it into contact as possibly you can, so I will go back to them. Go ahead.
Right. I want to challenge Mr. George Wither to point out or flag out one only report that indicted Mr. Boakai and also as being corrupt. I also want him to point to one fact, one instant where he noticed Mr. Boakai is corrupt. And if Mr. Boakai is corrupt, why aren't they, the CDC government, pursuing him, prosecuting him, auditing him to bring him to book? Why are they not auditing the Unity Party government since they claim that the government was corrupt and has squandered and they also something? Why are they not? Why is the CDC afraid to audit the Unity Party government? CDC should be able to speak no more on corruption, on any malpractices, because they have demonstrated that they are 3 times or 4 times more corrupt than the Unity Party government. So I challenge the CDC to audit these people so that everything can be laid to rest. Now, Mr. Boakai is an honest person. You see, in our Liberian society, that is why nowadays most of the young people, most of them, let me speak in context, are very corrupt. They go into government, into public and private sector to steal. If you do a survey today in Liberia, most of the young people, most of them, they are a lot of corrupt people. Now, look at the issue that, look at the issue.
In 30 seconds.
Yeah, final, yeah, let me just conclude in 30 seconds, right? Mr. Boakai earned his just earning, his just income. That is why he said, I'm comfortable in the building I am. My house doesn't have to be flashy, but that is my earning. The issue of him being fired, he was fired on policy differences in public and private sectors. When people are fired, especially public sector, when people are fired, it is most likely based on the differences you have with your boss. So I have worked in the system, I understand the system, and if George Weeder dared me, when I flag out some documents, he would never want to sit behind any microphone to discuss corrupt government.
You want to give out the you want us to have access to those documents?
Exactly, because if you are hiding them, then you are corrupt as well. You are encouraging
corruption. They are personal record because they are personal record. I can't just do that.
Personal record for you, meant for only youths. Don't you think? Where the connections of those records?
I cannot. No, listen, we have to protect our public sector policy. We have to protect the CSS.
So, hold on right there. So and this is what that's the uniqueness, Paul, I want to give you to. That's the uniqueness of this network here. Public. Are these the records you are referencing? Are they records related to our country, or that's something personal for yourself?
Well, yes. It's actually linked to our country. So in
a nutshell, should be a public records, right?
Yeah. The inner nutshell.
So how can you alone have access to that?
No, let me just make this clear. there are certain documentation that are classified.
So
And those information will not be just released.
So you are declassifying it now, but
Yeah.
we don't know the details of that. How?
That's why, you know, sometimes, you know, the reason I want to make Mr. Widow to know that when you're talking, when you're throwing stone,
with these
when
nuances.
you eat a glass house, do not throw stone. There's a saying, there's a parable in the Grove vernacular that says, if you go in the forest of the in the forest and you look in the hollow of the tree, look behind, because there's somebody somewhere looking behind you.
Okay.
So be careful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, gentlemen.
Yes.
Bro, do you buy into that? So the conspiracy, the fabrications, the innuendos, and all of that, it's not just with the politicians. Their supporter heavily dive into it. They, you know, it's a public record, right? If there's anything that concerns the country, it's a public record. We should have access to it.
It should be.
So somebody, somewhere, someplace is also covering up. And, that's a serious life crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mr. Tool, let me just say something. Mason was speaking on my device. But let me tell Mason, I know he followed. I was listening to the program yesterday. Mason called in to commend the former vice president yesterday. He highly commended the vice
president. What I'm asking is our own analyst. What I asked me, but you forget all of our listening.
Yeah. So let me tell Mason, if in the context of any society, when you are describing people, referring to them, those people, those kind of people, our country should not be given to those kind of people. It carries an undertone of being divisive. You refer to someone as a stranger. You refer to someone who can speak the language. How you turn that? That's been divisive. I know you support a VP that is right, but his statement yesterday was very divisive. Analyze those statements and put it into context. If I'm addressing you like that.
Okay, a little missing. I'll throw you out again. The liberals, are you there? What's coming out from here?
Look, I think most of the callers pointed to me. I think I should be getting more time here to try to elaborate. Yeah, and exactly to address your concern.
Not only the callers are online here is some
online. Exactly. That's why I need to be giving more time.
No, not more time. You'll be giving time. Everybody's going to be given time proportionally. Because believe me or not, even when we were asleep here, the messages will keep coming.
Yeah.
Talking, he went up.
So this whole idea that people don't want to believe, the supporter of former VP don't want to believe that those statements were divisive. They don't even want to admit to say, look, maybe he overspoke or he misspoke.
So, Dr. Siton here, my guess here, if I could make an educated guess here, is giving a justifications by the statements of the vice president, political strangers. What is the connotation of that? You are not a politician, so you get no business being in the field. Is that a fair political argument?
No. What gave Boakai the right to say he's the only person in Liberia? What gave him that right and don't give any other Liberian the right to participate in the process? What gave him that right and don't give any other Liberian the right to participate in that process? It's just wrong. And it's the same thing he spoke about. People leaving from here when to get a job to pay their mortgage. Condescending on people. Like they said that he never came here for some form of education. That's why he mean. Now he telling those people not to push them out. But in the context, as the thing that he's seeing those, he got people in Canada all around are supporting him. He taking money from they will be taking money from those people to fund the party. So are you going to leave those people, Mr. Vice President? No, you're not going to leave them out. But this is the thing people say to the Liberian people. I thinking that, oh, this person is real. They're not telling them the truth, but what they're saying is what the people want to hear. And that's what Vice President Boakai is saying. And let me just close on the note. The leader that spoke, that Vice President Boakai is not corrupt. People fire president or leader fire people on policy differences. My sister, that is absolutely wrong. It's not right. Some presidents, leader fire people based on corrupt attitude. And if you go back to that Daily Observer that carried that story, when Boakai was fired by the late President Samuel Ado for a late $2.7 million, and the same Observer reported that the story was investigated and he was culpable. But what I have always said, the system in Liberia, that's how it has been always from top time up to this time, that when you get into government, when you mismanage or misuse public funds, the president fire you. You sit down after 2-3 years, your body go and talk to the president. They bring you back into the system, and it is the same thing to them that continue. On the very administration, it's the same old thing.
Okay.
So it's not been strange to us.
All right. Okay. Widow.
Yes.
All
yes.
right. The political petrol bombs coming at you. So it seems
definitely
you are defending the anti-defensible. That it seems to be like then. Is that a fair judgment they are rendering against you?
No, I think they are wrong. I think, and that's the problem with Liberians, and that's where the problem lies. That does not try to push this country into the right trajectory, of development. Here's the thing: if you corner a Liberian, if a Liberian say you are a thief or you are a criminal or you are corrupt, if you push them to the wall to provide evidence, then they'll say, I'm afraid because if I provide evidence, you will do something to me. You know what I mean? You are not afraid to call me corrupt. But when I say bring evidence, you say you are afraid to bring evidence because I'm the government, And those are the type of things that we need to get rid of as Liberians. Let us be fair to each other. No, there's nothing. Every time Liberians want change, even though we don't actually know exactly what we want, even if you show it to us. And that's the problem with the caller that came on. He talked about having reports that when I read, I will never sit down behind a microphone. But when you ask him, can those records be made available, or can those pieces of evidence be made available? He's saying no, it's I think private records. What can be private records and be public records? What are you talking about? Because the only thing that can went to any corrupt practices in government is audit reports. You cannot just assume that someone is corrupt because you saw them building a house. I've built a lot of houses in Liberia. I'm not corrupt. People build a lot of houses in Liberia. They're not corrupt. The cheapest thing to do in Liberia that I would encourage every Liberian to do is to build a house because it's the cheapest thing. Cement has come to the lowest it has been in years.
Okay.
We should take
so
the
let me ask you this,
initiative.
Mr. Widow. Do you think, as a supporter of this government, do you think they believe there's a corruption in the system?
There is corruption.
Do you think
there
have
always be corruption in government?
Do you think they have identified that?
No, they have, and in some instances, people were persecuted. Like for instance,
to what extent? Prosecuted to what extent?
Okay, when the passport saga came out, someone was suspended, right?
And what night?
See that? Okay, and they went to court. However, the case did not get concluded, and because
when will we have a conclusive case with your government? When will we have a conclusive, a finalized case where it will be placed and that people, because this is where the disconnect. Personally, I feel, and I will give you a chance to respond.
Yes,
this is where the disconnect is coming from, because when there are so much of apprehensions and the people feels that the justice system is not working, it should be not in their favor, but the actual interpretations of the judiciary system. Because from time to time, every time we heard the case is on, the case is this, that. But when those cases are not finalized and there is no verdict and no one is being reprimanded, no one is being held responsible, there is not a case. And I feel that it's not being prosecuted.
Yeah, and you're right. You're right. And I continue to say it. I'm not telling anyone or trying to insinuate in any way that this government is perfect. There are a lot of things that need to be improved. However, as Liberians, we have...
Would those be improved?
A lot of things. The judicial system, I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done on the judicial system, because I feel that even the damage report against Vani Sherman, it's all tied to the judiciary being bribed. They bribed the judiciary to get that case out of the court to be judged not guilty when you have a cyber money case. Those are the things that we need to work on as Liberians. Those people should start taking bribe. And here's what happened. The only case that we have concluded, the government has concluded is being judged as being a witch hunt.
Okay, now you are
find solutions.
So now you seems to be giving Pa George last year You also have a baggage that you're carrying, and you want to poke in the eyes of the Unity Party. So all of you on the same wagon. Let me go to the lines here. I see the Liberty Party, not Liberty Party, the Liberal Progressive, who are a Liberty Party man now. This little light is turning on him, smiling here, so it means he has some good news. Let me just go back to these phone lines, and we're going to have a conversation here. Chairman Senvit, welcome. This is Lpr. Don't hesitate if you want to throw in your knowledge as well and know what's going on here. Let me go to this number here. These two numbers, 816 number 4124. Caller, what's your name and where you calling from? Are you there? 816 number 4124. Yeah, go ahead. What's your name? What's your question? Or what's your name?
Eugene Hammer.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, Eugene. So thank you for calling in. Okay, so I see you here. You've been tweeting here and there. Where are we going wrong and what needs to be fixed?
Yes, I want to talk on two issues here.
Go ahead quickly.
The first one, it was a guy that was talking to Mr. Wheeler about giving the Wheeler people, and you never said their microphone again. Mr. Wheeler, that man is a lie. It's a lying man. You don't have nothing. There's no document that will classify or declassify. You don't have it. You just have to make a talking point. That's his problem. And the second thing that I want to talk about is about the auditing. Why the black government is not auditing the former government? And the left ear of this one world, President William would never come out and say, you guys go do audit. The GSC and LCC, those agencies are autonomous agencies. They are on their own. We saw in this country where Trump was telling the Attorney General to which case to choose. You don't do that.
Okay.
And you don't do it.
All right.
And when you're in there of GSC, you go there, you look in the book, and start to prosecute people. The president is not going to claim it, go and prosecute Mr. Peter to see. No, you're not going to do that. That's a whole lot of social. Those agencies, the government agencies, they do it on their own. They are free for the government. So the government is not going to dictate to them for telling them what to do. They are going to do their work. So I don't want to talk about why the government is not auditing other people. Or the president is not giving order to other people. He's not going to do that. The FCC and the GSC, they need to do their work.
All right.
They need to do their work. That's what they are paid for to do it. But the president is not going to instruct them to go and
so do you so quickly before I let you go here, there are other free thinkers who will say, well, the reason some of these institutions are not carrying on their effective work, probably there's a political motive here, or could probably be the interference of the executive branch of government. Is that a fair argument?
Yes, that's a good argument. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
And we will let you the other one would know that the president in America, the president don't do that. He don't interfere with the agency. He don't.
Well, Donald Trump broke that chain. Okay, thank you so much, Eugene, for contributing.
No, we all say it was wrong.
Okay.
We all say it was wrong.
Okay.
Am I right in the
Go, no, absolutely. Yeah, he's still. Okay. Hey, the people still defending the thing here. They still feel that there's. I mean, it's everywhere. They feel that the election was stolen from them, and this conspiracy is still driven, and people, I don't get it. So it's part of the culture of. That's
fine. Okay, that's fine. That's what Joe Biden is the president now.
Okay.
Where's your mic?
Thank you. You know, I have to
be
constrained to call back.
Can't hear you.
The brother who just left the line, let me let you know, I worked with the Ministry of Finance for 12 years in both regimes, in strategic position, and I served in 4 different departments at the Ministry of Finance, and I'm telling you what I know. You know, okay. Do you know why Mr. Widow would not comment? No, Mr. Tor, just one second, okay? The reason why Mr. Widow will not comment because he knows who's speaking. He knows the person that is speaking, and he knows what I know. Okay, so I hate to come on and say some of these things. It's a very ethnic system that the government operates. I access the system. Okay, I see everything. I am telling you what I know. No, no. That is not to be discussed on this forum. If you want to discuss with me, you can take my number and we can discuss privately. Okay. Let me just say a few things. Okay. Mr. Comey is trying to brain himself. Mr. Boakai is a brain me. So, Mr. George,
Okay. Thank you so much.
He does not have to go in all the U.S. counties. You understand? To be able to rebrain himself. He's a brain me. It's the work of Mr. Cummings now to brain himself because he wants the number that Mr. Boakai has. Fine. Besides that, right? The reason why the CDC-led government will not call it balanced government because CDC knows that her entire campaign was financed by the United Party government. It's something that I'm aware of. So, Mr. Widow, you can't just come on the people on the public forum and be lambasting at people and you don't know anything about. You understand? The brother who just said
I will call you off record probably.
Yeah.
30 seconds here. Let me go back to
you
my
can go to my Facebook page. You see my profile. I don't have my identity. I don't use any fake account. You will see there. So we can't say these things because we protect the interest and we protect our country. We protect the interest of the government, be it current or past. But all we want, do the right thing. That's all we're concerned about. The issue about harmonization, I don't even want to go into that. The issue of the mob 25 million, mob SSI, I don't want to talk about that because those are things that we were in the system. We saw. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Can I speak? Please?
Yeah.
Mr. So, please give me the chance, please. Please. Look, and this is the problem we have as Liberians. The thing is that this column wants us to believe that the campaign of the CDC in 2017 was financed by Ellen Johnson government, and even though this same CDC ran a campaign in 2005 against Ellen Johnson and later on in 2011 as well. And you are saying only 2017 that it financed their elections. Look, this is wrong. I think people need to come on these platforms with a mindset that people that they're coming to speak to are also, are smart as well. We went to school, and for me, when someone's trying to do these things, they're abusing our intelligence when they want to tell us that what we know and what is established is wrong, and they have documents. The first person that came on said they had documents in their possession that when they show to me, I will never talk. And this lady has come on again. I have had a discussion with this lady before. I can vividly remember. She and I had a long chat. I can remember. And she is trying to say that she worked in early government and also in the CDC government, even though she's not there anymore. Now she has documents and evidence to prove that CDC campaign was financed by United Party government. And I think is completely erroneous. And people need to stop these things. Let us speak with facts. Let us speak with the mindset that these things can be corroborated. You see, when people are so bent on spreading misinformation and nuances, I think it's counterproductive to our society. This has to stop.
Okay, let me go tell the Liberty Party guy. I don't know whether you're texting Chairman Ben Sevi or whatever the situation, or you're speaking with your mentor, Darius Dillon here. The Liberal.
Yeah, Mr. So.
Okay, so you've been listening to a lot of reactions. Again, all statements or whatever said on this network does not in any way to represent the Liberia Public Radio management, not the contributors, but we do provide the platforms and facilitate these called conversation. So, Lebron, let's get your take from the callers.
Well, I think one of the things that I've observed here tonight, I think the next time we come on, I should behave like Josh Weir. So at least a lot of comment can come my way That way you will give me more time to respond. I should say some ridiculous things so that at least people can go against me, and that way you can give me more time to respond. But I've been enjoying myself. Look, Mr. So, let me say this. Let me say this. Liberian situation is a very interesting one.
It is.
We want change, but we do not want people who believe in changing for us. And that is the issue we have. Mr. George and Mr. Wheeler all night have argued, not that they hate Dr. Boakai, but they believe their argument can hold because they believe that Mr. Boakai, Dr. Boakai, real Dr. Boakai is corrupt. And so they try to make that and sell that to the Liberian people. My point here to these two brothers is this. Whatever you think Dr. Boakai is, according to you, because he has not been convicted in any kind of competent jurisdiction, and therefore I do not accept and will not accept any of your analogies in terms of Dr. Boakai being corrupt. Those are personal view, and you're entitled to it. Those are opinion, and you're entitled to them as well. So, but what you're not entitled, both of you, what you guys are not entitled is to facts. And the facts are on my side. And as a result of that, Dr. Boakai will be the next president.
Why are your facts?
Mr. So, please. Dr. Boakai will be the next president of the Republic of Liberia. Because why? The truth is with us.
You see, when I talk and then you say, why you always like to throw unnecessary tantrum? Well, I ask you a simple question, where are your facts? Mr. So, you acting like, oh my God. Let me go to the line. I'll come back to you. Pat George and Widow, you're going to respond to the Liberal, okay?
Definitely.
267 number, tie 5983. Are you there, caller? 267. Are you there? 267-5983. Are you there? Are you there, caller? Okay. Airplane can blow home. Pat Josh?
Yes. I will respond to that later, but let me respond to something we just said. He made some comment about corruption in the WIA government. The password issue that Mr. Widow spoke about, the government Liberia took the man to court. And the government Liberia went and withdrew the case from the court. They failed to show up.
Are you there?
They failed to show up.
Yeah. I'm here.
Okay, Joy, hold on one second. After this person, I was calling you in. So hold on one second. Yeah, go, Joy, go ahead.
The government failed to prosecute that case. They failed to show or they draft the charges against the passport director at the time. Now, we go to the current report. The current report stated there was irregularities within that report. And financially, when you talk about irregularities, we know what they're talking about. Then your president, George, we have constituted a local committee to investigate. They presented that report to President Weah today. He said sitting on his desk. The local report, President Weah said he has sitting on his desk, refused to file the case to court. These are alleged corrupt practices within Liberia under the George Weah led government, and he's sitting down on this report. And as I said, so the George Weah government cannot point to Ellen Johnson about corruption because they are all in the same boat. The documents are there, you can speak for yourself. You talk about corruption. Look at some of the people that are serving George Weah government. Charles Gibson, the Minister of Labor. This man went and took client money and ate it. Embezzled client money. He was found getting, he was suspended by the bar. Joy, we are talking saying the labor ministry. One of you, Abodrigi, this man impersonate as a Liberian. He talking saying to the Anti-Corruption Bureau. Liberian has to make noise before this man will leave. So I'm saying the WIA government is not the one to talk about corruption in Liberia because it's still on they are the one who doing this thing. Look back, Wilson Tapper, go to your tip. When during the campaign, it was alleged that George Weah received $25,000 from Charles Taylor to put Joel Howard on the ticket. When your chairman, then Wilson Tapper, was asked, he said he could not confirm nor deny that report. Where are you people going? to point finger at other people about corruption. You people should not be the just I tell the Joseph Boakai folk, that party not to talk about corruption. You people should not even go there because you people here are in the cookie jar. And let me close. That lady, the lady that said, who has all the classified documents? You know, madam, I respect your whole lot. I don't know you. I have not met you before. But if you
where I come from a lady that was a man speaking.
Oh, I'm sorry. But if you love Liberia and you have access to document that people had defrauded the government and you sit now on and refuse to bring it to the attention of the Liberian people, then of course you are part of that process.
Corruption, yes.
That are killing the country. Because I cannot have information that will lead to the prosecution of the people who are denying other Liberians.
And you say, and then you claim it's classified, but in fact, you have declassified the document.
Yes.
You are
let me say
so, look, folks.
They are using this
the guy did not share with you. Because the guy did not share with you, does not mean that he has violated the rules. Because he refused to share with you, does that mean he's not credible? No.
Liberal, hold on with your liberal idea. I'm not saying this man is not credible. What I'm saying here, if you are in possession of documents that people have defrauded the Liberian people, and you don't want to turn that document over to the government to prosecute people, then of course you are part of that process. Because
he doesn't get it. The liberal doesn't get it.
Mr. Toll, you can say, I'm not asking the liberal to turn it over to me or to turn it to Mr. So, but you have documents to prove that people are exploiting the people of our country, the resources, that people cannot get hospital, roads, infrastructure, children are sleeping hungry, hospitals, no drugs. And you sit down on document that people that were used to prosecute people to serve as a deterrent, and you sit down on document and you say,
but what if the document was to be issued to you right now, even you give it to Liberian people, what are they going to do with it? Nothing. Mr. George, let's give this man, if he has a document, let's give him time. In due time, he will release it.
This is the man who is
the government is in place that will do something about this. He can get it released and he take care of it.
This is a man who calling people undercover sedition, but he more than undercover. He on top cover sedition. He telling people to give time. He's speaking the tune of this very CDC. We just came to power, gave her time. We're telling you, this is somebody who said, this is what I have. Empire George, there's no way I can explain it. And we're creating speculations of people corrupting, people not corrupting. You putting figure, but yet you have something that you think is concrete, it's tangible, that can be proven. And then something told you telling us we must give in time. On top sedition.
Yes.
You just display yourself. I don't know why Liberty Party is still holding fire with you.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I am a Liberty Party USA.
There you go. Okay, let me go to this number here quick online here, being on hold, and I will come back to you guys.
Okay.
Call us, Sarit, 267. Go ahead quickly.
Thank you.
You got? Can you speak in your phone? The voice is fitting.
On the British political party, they were home. You know, we saw a year with Mr. Harris and
We're not hearing you at all. I don't know why.
Are you still not hearing me?
Much better. You wasn't speaking the phone. Go ahead.
Okay, I was saying there will be a lot of things throwing at one another in the Republic of Liberia during this political heat, something that we may call it. We saw it right here in America with Ms. Harris and the present president of the Republic of America. I would say Republic because that's just 4 government in one. Woman Boakai was now referring to Alexander Cummings yesterday of what people are just speculating all over in the social media. They will hold. When 2 lions are fighting, what happens? The grass suffers. But let me say this though, Mr. So, Liberia, the CDC administration, there's a lot of stealing. They kill our good auditors, 4 good auditors in the Republic of
How you come to that
Nigeria.
hold on one second. How you come to that conclusion?
And we should not allow this.
Kind of what?
You said they kill.
Yes, they kill them. They
Who they?
murder them.
Who they?
The government. The government.
Do you have something
Let
to
me
also? Do
say
you
this.
also hold on? Do you also have something to to display that this murder was carried out, and you are not even using the word alleged? You've been very definitive.
I'm not saying alleged. I am
Do
not
you
saying
have
alleged.
anything? Do you have anything to tell us as well that they were murdered?
Look, brother So, Mr. So, this is not Robin White and Charles Taylor issue. We know what happening in our country.
It's far from that.
Elizabeth Brum. This is not Elizabeth Brum and Charles Taylor issue. We are speaking of facts.
Say you who you representing?
Who am I representing? I'm representing Liberia. I'm representing myself. They are all Liberians. They were killed in a cold blood. Is there any justice then for them in Liberia? Is there any justice for them in Liberia? No. Have there been any investigation in Liberia? No. Come on, brother. So, in the country where they have police, where they have CID, where they have other security apparatus in the Republic of Liberia, where under this son, 2 men, a man and a woman will go on Broad Street and say, oh, we can do our thing. There is no hotel in Liberia. There is no motel in Liberia, brother. So, look, the reason why those who are in charge to do their work in Liberia, they will never do it under this administration, is this. The president here is in it because he built from the 7 Carolinos from where? And with these people, anybody that do something, they will say they're running after them. They're running after them. So Liberians are afraid to do their job under this government. And under this government, the president promised the Salid family that I will protect you people. This is the reason why we will be like this until we find somebody with golden iron, to lead our country. It is not us. It is not the other people. It will be the generation to come. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. We can't stop. We can't sanction people's view here, but me as an angle, as a facilitator, I also have a responsibility. Every comment, every statement coming out of our participants, our callers, in as much we appreciate them, we must also be held liable for things that we say, especially if we just throw it out there. I'm not here to the late Joshua, his wife's house is less than 3 minutes away from what I'm sitting right now. And that's something I feel very bad for, and that's something I believe this government, under the watch of this government, should be held accountable. But when you come and put out a plain, a decisive, a cut statement based on the, just the little that you know, and you can't go further than that, then of course, that's not something we're going to get past. But I do believe that there must be an investigation, and these investigations must be concluded, and somebody must be held liable. But when you become so definitive and telling me, Alfonso, you killed, he said, yeah, I know that you killed. On what basis? Is it a perception, or is it just emotions attached to it? I think that is unfair. So we need to also season our thoughts, things that we put out there. Yes, we must hold this government accountable. All of these things happen under the watch of this government. And that's the same thing we're talking about Helen Johnson Sirleaf, the Greaves, and other people as well. And in the absence of conclusive investigation to say, yes, this is what this person do, I think then that is fair. These are all political statements, and it's being driven. It's not fair to the bereaved family, because if you know this information that they are facts, then you must be able to help this family to get us to the lead, to get us to the bottom line. And we know how government, people play games and how all of that is involved. But we must use certain words that will suit and that will be able. It's not a matter of sugarcoating, but these are very critical issues. These are very painful issues, and families can be listening. I remember somebody did a tweet on one post program. I wasn't even watching it, but they knew that I know the Jensua family, and the family called me. Oh, do you know so person? This is what the person said this morning on the podcast. They know who killed Nyansua. They have evidence. Now, if you say that, if you write that, if you alter that, it means you might have an inside revelations or inside information that could help the family, maybe to give it to the government or help to suppress the keep. They can't give it that. Then, of course, they have something. So I think that we have to be very careful and watchful here. That's why we don't represent anybody's interest, nor the government or political party. We think we must provide a plain conversation. That's for the country. So, the liberals, Widow, I see you, George, here. We're
Yes.
going.
Let me come here. And look, I think one of the things that we often say in our political sphere is that people we say Costa is involving blackmailing. But blackmailing just took place right on this platform. When someone comes up and say, I got information that when I give to you, you will never sit down behind a microphone, that's blackmailing. They know that they don't have anything. But they will say those things to keep us quiet. They will intimidate you to not be able to say what you want to say and what you intend to say. Those are the things that are happening. There's a lady who came also to have worked with the finance ministry in different capacities and knows that the elections of George Weah in 2017 was financed by the government of the Republic of Liberia. She cannot provide the facts, but she's telling us to believe her only because she has worked there. Who knows how she left the ministry?
So let me flip the coins around here. Before Pat George and something told him not to be with us here because his ideas already ran off, and it's quite understandable. Maybe he's getting sleepy now. I understand. You got to do some roadway and bridgeway stuff here. But so, Widow, with all of this here, is the government that you support us for? Are they listening to the cries of the Liberian people? Are they aware that these things are painful, they are consequential, and that it needs to be addressed so the families too can have a peace of mind, the country too that can have a peace of mind? This sort of apprehension, how long can we live with it? Or should we say, like the words of Samson told, we should give you people more chance, and what that time will be?
Okay, look, thank you. Yes, I want to tell you that the president of the Republic of Liberia is in pain when a Liberian dies on suspicious accident. We think it is not suspicious. We think it is something that is known. We think it is a disease that kills a Liberian. The president is concerned. For the next fact that the president addresses things in church and in places in the public sphere, tells you that it's actually concerned.
Why the president likes to go in the church to speak to the people? Is that what time of redemption or what?
No. Look, I think, if I say something...
Extradition is the domicile of the official residence of the President of the Republic of Nigeria. When you stay in the Oval Office and speak, the nation listen. But when you go in the church and go behind the pulpit, other people see it as a mockery. You don't think so?
Oh, I don't think so. And that's why our opinions will always vary when it comes to these things. And the problem is that if you see it as black and I see it as white, the only thing we can do is why you see it as white and why I see it as black. And we can come together, we'll find who is right. But here's the thing. I think for the president...
Is everyone advising the president to do that?
No, I don't think there's any advice. The president's a religious person, as we all know it. He's a person who believes in God and wants to do everything in the rightness of time. So I think the president going to church is not a point of discussion. Here's what I want to say. I want to say that
let me get it. Go ahead quickly so I get it.
The president is concerned with these deaths. However, look, we all know that not every crime is solved. And not every closure that we need that we get. Because sometimes, look, if someone dies from me, I want to...
Not every crime is solved. Let me just hold you right there. What we are doing towards solving that crime. Liberal, Pat George, not every crime is solved. How would this be? How can this be received? What is the true interpretation?
I don't know what Mr. Widow is speaking for the government, but I support him.
No, obviously he's not speaking for the government.
Yeah, I support the government. I differ with Mr. Widow. Not every crime is solved. But Mr. Widow, look at Liberia. The amount of ritualistic killing, unexplained death in Liberia. How many of those crimes has been brought to court and successfully prosecuted? can't see it. Just yesterday, an old lady crying, said her daughter left. What they call beach waterway. The alleged, I think she said the girl worked for the waterway. Said the police arrested her, and since then she have not seen her daughter. Yesterday, the old lady was pleading that if anybody could help her. These, I don't know whether she's there, but they're assuming that this is there, or they will mostly because she can't get no answer. We see bodies found in Monrovia.
We're already out of time.
Body found in Monrovia. Alleged rape, people, women. No answer. Number 7, the police went there and shot a labor, point blank, 17-year-old boy. When they were demonstrating, the police shot him. What is the outcome of that investigation today? Nothing. I can listen in Maryland, mysterious killing led to demonstration going to the police station. No answer. In Bomb County, no answer. So what is this crime solving method? Like I said, every crime cannot be solved. But what are people doing?
Hold on, the liberal.
What?
Mr. So, I'm trying to enjoy myself, to be honest with you. All crime are not solvable. You know what? I'm not going to delve into it. You guys go ahead.
Wida, is that a slip of tongue?
The cold case, it's not even cold case.
It's not a slip of tongue at all. It's not a slip of tongue. In the United States and in California alone, 5,000 murders go unsolved every year. And I'm not going to proportionate to Liberia to say because it happened there, it should happen there. But I'm just trying to give you a synopsis of the crisis that we have. Look, as criminals get sophisticated, the police must move in the same direction. It has to be directly proportional. But here's what I'm going to say. People are saying that ritualistic killing happened in Maryland. As we all know, like we were on the show the other day when we talk about the issues. I think I was on the show. There was this incident that happened in Maryland, and because the people said the police arrested the perpetrator, right? But then the people said they want justice, and they said, okay, courts are closed now. We're going to be open in 5 months. He will be on our protection. He will be in prison until court opens. The people said no, they don't want it. They want justice right there. That's the sort of issue that brings about a disturbance in the society. When people are impatient, when people don't feel that they feel that they cannot follow any rule, they can just do whatever they want to do. That's what the problem is all about.
Okay, man, we are already out of time. I'm afraid to say that we are already out of time here. This person, I put this person on hold for the longest 30 seconds. 30 seconds. 816 number. Are you there? 816, 30 seconds. Are you there?
This is usually once again, Mr. So.
Yeah, go ahead quickly.
Yeah.
Already out of time.
When it comes to this issue, this auditor and this team, you and Mr. George for a lot of you guys are biased when it comes to this issue. We live in America here, but you got a CCTV everywhere, all over the place here. And when people die in the country, it takes years to solve the problem. But when it comes to Liberia, it must be done in time. Liberia has manpower, no CCTV. The only way you solve the problem is that people have to talk. I don't know where the government will solve the problem. The government came out with a press conference to the information ministry and they lay everything out. And you guys say that they are not saying anything about the people that die. That's just true. Yeah, they have a press conference at the ministry of information, and after that, the journalists were not able to ask a question. Or journalists were not even able to ask the pathology any kind of question.
The journalism do what?
They don't ask a question like a press conference. No.
So if I'm asking all of these questions now, then where the bias is coming from?
Because you live in the Western world and you see how things go on. In Atlanta, in New York, people die, people got killed.
Okay, Eugene, let's continue this conversation tomorrow. Thank you so much. I mean, your views. Thank you so much. We like this sort of engagements. It's not an insult. I mean, you expressing your free will. There's a freedom of speech.
I listen to your show all the time, and when it comes to date,
we try to do. I might, some things I would say, something analysts would say you will not agree with. I mean, people will not necessarily you, and that's how it's supposed to be. But we must be able to throw this thing out, and that help the process.
Especially you and Mr. Jordan and Lance. I don't know why you're against the government.
Oh my God! The liberals say I'm a sedition, so why would I be against something that I'm for?
No,
Yeah. Let me get it out here. You said something, and that's your perceptions. I can't question that. I don't against government. I'm one of those who say I want the right thing to be done. I want the government to be on track with message, but I'm a little bit, I can be troubled if I see they are going off message to derail their own missions, their own objective. Because when the government is not doing good, the pressure comes on me. I'm just saying, I'm saying when the government is not doing good, the pressure comes on me.
I disagree with you. The pressure don't come on you. I think you rejoice.
Okay, well, I can. I mean, that's your view, Eugene, and so I mean that I can. Okay.
All right. Mr.
I got a lot of good friends there. So, but at the same time, we have a piece of job to do to make sure that we get the facts out there. But remember, thank you. It shouldn't make you to go away. Call anytime, express your view.
I will not go away. I will always get you.
All right, you're the man of the night. Thank you so much. I love that sort of engagement. Okay, so guys,
hold on, Mr. So.
I'm not taking it again. Yeah, go ahead quickly before we go.
Mr. So, this man that just called, he tried to muddy the water because I have pointed you two out, and now he trying to muddy the water so the audience will believe that you people are against the government. Far from it. He's not with us. Mr. George is a far right. I mean, far center right. You far right, and Mr. Wheeler, who is a sedition, and Mr. The professor, who is also a CDC. I call him a CDC professor. But what I want people to know is that when you guys have me on here, I am here as a counterweight to you, Mr. George, Mr. Wheeler, and the professor. Because look at today. Look at today. Everything you talk about is against the real doctor in Liberia who's trying to be president. He's corrupt. He can lead, and everything else. This is that how you're gonna? Why if Dr. Boakai decides he wants to come on your show? Are you gonna come out here now and say how corrupt he is? You guys have to.
You see, you put your own foot.
Mr. So Dr. Boakai has not been found guilty, but yeah, we are. If he was just coming from
who adjudicated here
and listen to Mr. George and Mr. Wheeler tonight. Dr. Boakai is already in jail.
You see, now I'm going to use your own words before we go. You are putting your own foot in your mouth, just how sedition can always put their own foot in their mouth. You can say we are so. Now the callers expressing, they say, no, we are far from it. We far left, we far right, we did that. That's ridiculous. That's been disingenuous. So you are putting your own foot in your mouth. It's not us. We are asking legitimate questions. We are asking questions that Liberians deserved to know. We are talking critical issues. No one has adjudicated Boakai. They are making reference. They are comparing notes. We are looking at the history of the past and the history of the present and see where the disconnect we can find out and find solution. So we found solution here. You don't know that, Mr. Tota? Okay, gentlemen.
The last time when I had a slip of tongue, the last time, Mr. So, when I had a slip of tongue about Dr. We are being corrupt, you guys crucify me because I have no evidence. And why can I say something like that when there's never been any kinds of competent jurisdiction to try
how do they consider the war?
No, when the shoes on the other side, it's okay with you guys because it is Dr. Boakai. This is what the liberal progressive is here.
This is appalling.
And I will refute.
Who is a part of a political party, and he's not even pointing, he's not even referencing a single person as a competent person to contest the presidency. So are you saying the entire Liberty Party for Joseph Boakai?
We have collaborated, perhaps you've been, Mr. Rick Van Winkle, wake up. It's 2021.
I want to thank you.
Mr. Van Winkle. We have a collaborating political party. We have a collaborating political party where somebody who wants to lead will come up and the people will vote for that person. That's what we have. It's called primary.
All right. Is CDC government fisherings eyeing either Gonglo Web? Those are other news and happening. Or is it the media trying to throw some sort of sensation out there to give a talking point? Gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for your expertise and the time. You know, this is hard to do because you are crucified, you are being perceived, judgment is being rendered, interpretation is being made about you, about your opinions and views expressed. But this is something that we sign off to do, and we intend to do it for the interest of their country. And this is why we ourselves must be held responsible. Senior contributor Amos Joy from Atlanta, I want to thank you. Our man from Australia, still up at this point in time. George Widow, who faced a barrage of for his support to the government. Thank you. And of course, the liberal progressive. He's in the liberal state, but he hangs up with the Trump Republicans, Kevin McCarthy, and all of those people. Those are his body, but yet he say he's a liberal. We understand, Mr. Totan, Samson Bloku Branto, host of Conversation with Samson To. Gentlemen, thank you so much and have a pleasant evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, folks.
So, well, folks, that's how we're going to leave it for you and all our viewers, your analysts. If we don't pick up your call, we are just against time. We want to thank you so much for sharing this evening with us right here on the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. So we're going to be back here. The Liberal will be on here tomorrow. It's Friday. Conversation with Samson To. Crossfire comes on Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am Afonso Zeyanso of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. When it comes to discussing about the country, it's consequential. It's painful. Like the songwriter says, no pain, no gain. Our politicians, there's no easy way out. And I yet to be convinced. The opposition and even the government, they are still finding it very difficult to channel their message. And it's quite appalling and interesting. People that intend to interpret the message of the government and that of the oppositions, their inability to stay on message, to keep focus, to restructure the message of their political leaders is giving them problem. So what they are doing, they are helping to drive people away, and that is dangerous for the very people that they support. On this note, we showcase the qualities and beauties of Liberia. We will take you to the southeastern side, that's Maryland County, as we sign off in today's editions of Lpr-Tv Special. I am Afonso Zeyanso. Thank you so much.
Yiswawo.